Hi guys, so today I'm going to be doing a recap of episode 2 of The Amazing Race because I was there and I'm going to share you guys my experience of leg number 2. So I'm also not wearing a shirt because I basically didn't wear a shirt the entire episode. So I think for every recap that I do, I'm going to wear the same clothes that I wore during that leg. So just sticking with the theme of shirtless Finnick-ness. Anyways, let's get on to the recap. Alright, so we started off in 6th place, which is kind of middle of the pack because there are now 10 teams. So the boats arrived and our first clue said that we had to go to Motu Tapu, I think that's what it's called, and go to the chapel to get an island blessing to get our next clue. So Megan and I got on our boat and we told our taxi driver of the boat, like boat taxi, we're like, listen up sir, we need to get in front of these other players. So he put it into high gear and passed Mona and Beth and Pam and Winnie. So we caught up to the hockey players and it was actually kind of helpful that we weren't there first because we got to follow the other teams and see where they were going. So that was definitely that's definitely a disadvantage of being in first because you're kind of like paving the way for the other teams. So we just got ourselves up there and got our island blessing, which kind of seemed like Megan and I got married. So basically, Megan and I are married in the French Polynesian Islands. So, just saying. So after we got married, we got our next clue, which we found out was a detour. And the detour options were diving for pearls or sunken chest or something. I forget exactly what they're called, but diving for pearls was basically you would dive for oyster shells and try to find 2 red pearls within like a whole bunch of them. I don't even know. There was like a bajillion. Or you could do sunken chest, which you had to dive down, get a treasure chest, and put together the contents that were inside. And we didn't know exactly what that meant, like the contents could be anything, it could be like a puzzle. So we ended up deciding to do dive pick a pearl. I think it was actually called pick a pearl. I don't really remember exactly what it was called. But we chose that because we knew like what the mission was, to find 2 red pearls, and we knew that it was definitely going to be there. It was just a matter of us finding the pearls instead of like, oh well, we could do the creating this treasure chest and like spend hours on it and it not turn out how it's supposed to. So yes, anyways, we left, we got our snorkel gear, and we went back to our water taxi and he drove us to the detour. So once we're at the detour, I rip off my shirt and I jump in that water, and Megan jumped in too. We saw underwater that there was a whole long string filled with like these shells hanging down, and we were supposed to collect them and crack them open and find our pearls. So immediately I dove down and grabbed one, but Megan had trouble doing it. She just kind of like was trying to swim down, but she was still staying afloat above. So we got back into the boat and broke open the shells, didn't find anything, and at that moment we knew like this is gonna take forever if we like have to go in and out of the boat like every single time. So we came up with a plan where Megan would stay in the boat and I would go and dive down for the shells and bring them to her on the boat and she could open them up there. And since I'm part Finnick and such a good swimmer, it worked out. But it was really tiring because we literally went through every single one of the strings of shells one by one, which kind of screwed us over because we didn't have to do that. I could have like dove down, grabbed 2, and brought them on the boat. But we were so worried about like the wording in the clues and we didn't want to get a penalty. So I just did one at a time, which took a while and was really tiring because I would swim all the way to the shell, swim down, bring it up, and swim back to the boat. So I did that about 20 times probably. And we ended up going through every single row of shells to finally get both pearls. So that was crazy. I swam back to the boat, and actually when I was handing the stuff up to Megan, I couldn't hear what she was saying because like the water was getting in my ears and she was like down in the boat like cracking them open. So she'd be like, okay, good. And I was like, you got one? And she's like, no, keep going. And it was like making me really mad because I was like, I can't freaking hear you. What are you saying? But alas, we finished the detour, I got on the boat, and next we had to swim to this little canoe with a guy in it in the middle of the whole thing, and he gave us our next clue. So next we had to swim really far to the jet skis, and at this point I was so tired, like swimming back and forth to the boat, and now I had to swim like a mile to the jet skis. I thought I was gonna drown. But Megan inspired me because she looked like a freaking dolphin swimming. She was basically like becoming a mermaid, and I was like trying to keep up with her. But we still made it to the jet skis first, and we had maybe like a 2-minute lead on the other teams. So we hop on the jet skis and we blast off. And they gave us this little like leather map that was like really simple, like simple looking. It just had like islands on it and like an X, like this is where you need to go. So I pretty much just like looked at the islands and kind of figured out where to go based off how things looked, because I'm more of like a visual person, so it wasn't too hard for me. So I was able to navigate to this island, and I noticed all the other teams were following me, so I was like, hopefully I'm going the right way because all these teams are following us. But holy crap guys, this was the most amazing thing ever. I seriously felt like I was in an action James Bond movie and we were escaping the bad guys, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to experience this again because it was like a competition mode. And I was on a freaking jet ski. I felt like I was James Bond bringing Megan to safety or something. And also, the helicopters were flying around recording us and stuff, so it totally felt like an action movie. So we're just cruising down, and like we stopped a few times because I had to like check the map, and Megan's like, don't stop because you're gonna flood the engine. So at one point I almost like flipped us off because like I stopped and then I went fast right away, and I almost like knocked us off. But we finally made it to the island and got our next clue, which was a roadblock. And I think it said like who has like better balance, something along the lines of balance, and I was like, well, I probably do because I took gymnastics. So I took this roadblock and found out that you had to walk on stilts in the sand and kick a coconut across this like field. So I pretty much just jumped on the stilts and fell like almost immediately. It was so hard and I wasn't expecting that. I was like, I have balance, I can do this. And then Connor and Anthony got on their stilt and like first try just knocked it out of the park, kept going. They went so freaking fast, like I don't even know how they did it. Like I was just shocked. I was like, this is so hard, how are they doing it? They're boys too, how did they do this? But Anthony is a hockey player and Connor is just Connor, okay? So them two finished, and at this point it was just me and Jessica, and she had like a pretty interesting technique. She didn't fall like at all, but she was going really slow. So Megan was like, Joey, go slow like her. And I was like, girl, I can't even stay up. Like, how the heck am I gonna go slow? So after falling multiple times, I just took a moment and I looked at my surroundings and I saw that there was a guy like displaying it. He was just walking around on the stilts like it was no big deal. So I saw his technique and he had his arms like crunched over like this and he was holding onto the pole. So I did that and I just made my legs really stiff and kind of made the stilts a part of my body, like an extension. So once I got that figured out, and I was able to do it without falling, so that was good. And at this point, Beth and Chuck had arrived, and Chuck I think did it really fast too. He ended up passing me and finished it, and then I finished, and Chuck and Winona were running for the mat, and I wasn't really paying attention. I was just like, heck yeah, I'm knocking this coconut over the line. And Megan was like, Joey, come on. We can beat Chuck and Winona. So it became a foot race between us and Chuck and Winona, and we sprinted to the mat and ended up passing them and got 4th freaking place, which felt so amazing after the first leg getting 6th place. So moving on up. Woo-hoo-hoo. So yeah, 4th place, guys. So crazy. Hashtag crazy. We should have gotten 1st. But a little bonus information, that night we actually slept on that island and we slept in hammocks, which was really cool because it was such a cool experience, like sleeping on a private island in hammocks. But it got really windy and I was just like flailing around at night, like my hammock was just swinging back and forth. So let's just say I got like 1 hour of sleep that night. But anyways, next week we're going to New Zealand! Woo! So next Sunday at 8 o'clock, or for at least US 8 o'clock. I'm not sure what time it is for your country. So we're going to New Zealand, so definitely tune in and watch us. It's gonna be crazy. Here is a preview of next week.
Next week on The Amazing Race, Dave confirms his worst fear.
12 the muscle. So what you need is crutches.
And teams race New Zealand at full throttle.
You're bad to the bone.
We're having fun now, baby!
Let's go! I love New Zealand!
Woo!
Alright, so yeah, I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and tell me what your favorite moment of this episode was. Let me know who you like, who you hate, just talk about the show. I want to have a discussion with you guys. I obviously can't tell you about future episodes, but yeah. I will see you guys tomorrow. May the odds be ever in your favor. Goodbye. Hi guys, so today I'm going to be doing a P.O. Box video because I have my trusty dusty FIFA Fusty knife. So I went to the P.O. Box the other day and holy crap.